Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of JT Talks Jobs. Today I'm going to be talking to all those people that are dreading going to work in the morning. If that's you on Mondays, if that's you every day of the week, then you have come to the right place. We're going to talk about what you can do to fix that problem because that is a big one, my friends. But before we get started, I always want to remind you that if you want to get instant notifications and be able to join this conversation, one of the ways that you can do that is by going over to my LinkedIn profile and clicking the follow button. That way you'll get instant notifications when I go live here. You can also do the same thing if you head over to our YouTube channel, just so you know, but I'd really love for you to follow me on LinkedIn. So the other thing I want you to know is that we've started our very own hashtag for this, JT Talks Jobs. So if you can't attend our live event, or maybe you can only stay for a few minutes today, you can always go back and watch the recordings. All you have to do is go over and follow the hashtag JT Talks Jobs, and that will make sure that you can check out everything. So come join the conversation. Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to get down to the business of talking about dreading going to work. First of all, I'm going to give a question to all the viewers out there. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, I don't want to be there at all, 10 being, I love my job, I want to be there every second I possibly can. Where do you fall on the spectrum, right? So 1 is, oh, I can't stand a minute being there. 10 is, I love being there. I wish I could stay over there. All right. Very few people are going to answer 10, I'm sure, especially if you're watching today's session. A bunch of you might not even respond because you might think, ooh, my boss is watching. I get it. But for the most part, I'm going to tell you something. If you're coming in lower than a 7, then we need to work on your mindset. Lower than a 7, right? Because the truth is you should like your job more than 50% of the time. Not every day is perfect. We're not going to love everything about our work. But in my experience, and I've been doing this for almost 20 years now as a career coach, I got certified in 2001, that I know that with the thousands of people I've worked with who hate their jobs, to get them to a place of about 70% is pretty good. Pretty good. You have more good days than bad. So if you fall less than a 7, if you didn't want to own up to it in the chat, that's okay. Then today's session is for you. And we're really going to talk about the psychological impact this has and things that you can do today to start to improve the situation. Okay. All right, let's get started. So the first thing I want to explain to you is the concept of neuro-linguistic programming. The first time I ever heard about this was when I was becoming certified to become a coach. And I had to read a whole book on this and do a lot of studying around this. Neuro-linguistic programming is the fact that our brains actually process experiences in our life, right? So we see things, we experience things, and our brain, in an effort to be able to protect us, keep us safe, right? Help us learn and grow, interprets that experience and stores it like a little card in the back of our brain. And the reason it does that is because if we had to process every experience we have in our life every single day, we'd all be exhausted by noon. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, we're dealing with a lot of different experiences. So our brain has to figure out a way to make assumptions about things that are happening to us so that we can speed things up. Okay, so that is our brain processing. Now, what we do is we codify each experience and we make decisions. Was it a good thing or a bad thing? Now, this is where we start to get ourselves into trouble, okay? Because when we code something as bad, it gets stored away. So when it happens again, okay, that reinforces that it's bad. Okay, it's even worse. Happens again, even worse. Happens again, even worse. We start to build up our negativity. And if we associate enough things as bad and we stack them together, we actually create our mood. We create our mindset. So you didn't all of a sudden wake up one day and just hate your job. That's not what happened here. At some point in time, you took the job and you were pretty excited, right? You were thrilled. You got a new job. What's happened is you've had experiences and you've coded them as negative and they've built upon one another. And then as they build, they're like rocks. You carry them and you keep carrying them and you keep carrying them. And next thing you know, you have so many rocks, so many negative thoughts stored up in your brain that you can't get out of bed in the morning because you haven't even had your day and you're already anticipating the bad things that are going to happen. Right? You know, it's said that whatever we look for, we will find. So if we look for something positive, we'll find it. If we look for something negative, we'll find it. What I'm telling you is that our brain is wired to do this. And so it's no surprise that a lot of you are just dragging because of past events that are now negative in your mind and they weigh you down honestly, it's like 100 pounds in your head. And that's how we get depressed. And that's how we hate our jobs and don't want to go to work in the morning. So knowing that, I was taught as a coach how to help people recognize it and start to change their neuro-linguistic patterns, right? Does that make sense to everybody so far? If so, give me a big yes in the chat so that I know you're listening. All right, so let's move on. We now understand neuro-linguistic programming. The secret is to rewrite the script in your head. We have to rewrite the thoughts in your head. And so I'm going to break down a 4-step process for you today that you can use to make that happen. This is what they taught me to do. In fact, I had to use it on myself to prove that it would work. And I've used it ever since. It has really helped me flip the script and think more positively. It's funny. Some people go, oh, she's a naturally positive person. Or maybe you know somebody that is just always upbeat and positive. That's not natural. That's a skill that they train themselves to do. And everyone listening to this today has that capacity. You all do. You just might have more negativity stacked up, more negative self-talk stacked up that we need to break down, rewrite, and remove in order to get you there. But I'm telling you right now, it's just like muscles at a gym. If you go and you work out enough, you will get those muscles. Same thing with this, okay? All right, so let's begin. So the first thing we have to do is the brain dump. Now, the brain dump is where you think of every negative thought you have about your job. You're going to grab a piece of paper or you're going to get on your computer and it's a cathartic experience, my friends. You are just going to keep going till there's absolutely nothing left. I want you to sit there and I want you to write or type until you literally can't think of anything else. You're going to get it all out of your head and onto a piece of paper or a computer screen. I'm going to give you an example of what that looks like. We're going to bring it up here. So I took a stab at it. Maybe these are just some of your things, but let's take a look at these. Do any of these sound like you? And sorry, I have to look at the screen because I don't have these memorized. But you go, oh, I have to get up so early in the morning to go to work. My commute is really long. It's so long. My coworkers are mean. They're just mean, nasty people. My work is super boring. My pay is so low. I work too many hours. I'm too tired to do anything for myself at the end of the day. This job is exhausting. My boss is a jerk, or maybe a stronger word than that. I don't respect my company. I don't like what they do. I don't see any future here, and my benefits stink. That's just a partial list. Now, if there are some more things that I've missed, maybe some things that you've thought of in the past, throw those in the chat. I want to see some other examples of that negative self-talk that's going on. But this is a pretty decent list, right? I mean, if somebody believed all these things and was thinking these things every single day, the moment they got out of bed as they're preparing for work, they literally were thinking all of these things. Can you see what I mean? Each of those is a 10-pound rock that they're carrying along. Talk about making it difficult to go to work in the morning. I get it. I totally get it. So let's take a look at step 2. So now what you have to do is ask yourself, how did I come up with these thoughts and assumptions? Where did they come from? Remember in the beginning of the session when I said you didn't start out that way? You didn't. At some point in time, you were excited about this job. This job had some good qualities. What I'm explaining to you now and what you should become aware of is its experiences. Remember what I said? The brain processes experiences and labels them good or bad. It is experiences that you've had that have led you to these assumptions, these beliefs, these thoughts, okay? And so you have to think about what those were. How did they occur? So let's take a little bit of a look here. I'm going to give you another example. So what happens is you start to compare yourself to other people. So maybe you're out talking about your job and how great you thought it was, and then you find out your friends have jobs that are better than you, right? Maybe they get paid more, their hours are better, their boss sounds nicer. They start bragging about their jobs, and you're comparing and going, wait a minute, I thought it was way up here. It turns out I'm way down here. Maybe you've got family, a significant other who's upset that you're not home enough, or family that says they don't see you. So they just keep telling you your situation's bad, and they keep pointing out all the problems with your job and your company. Right? Or maybe you're saying, gee, I thought I'd be further along by now. Maybe you started there and you had really great ambition and you thought you were going to get promoted really fast and something happened and you're not where you thought you would be. So that's throwing you off course. Maybe you're starting to realize, gee, I got there and I thought the benefits and perks and things were going to be good, but now I'm realizing some of the stuff I had at my other job was actually better, right? I'm trying hard to find a new job, but nothing's working. So now I'm getting demotivated because I'm stuck in this job and I can't seem to find anything new, which makes me even more upset about this job. And then I've done everything I've been told to do and I'm not getting results. So now I feel like I've tried everything and it's not working. I'm feeling really helpless here. I'm feeling like a victim, right? I feel sorry for myself because my situation stinks. Look, compared to everybody else and compared to what friends and family are saying, I just don't have it as good as I thought based on some things that have happened. Wow, I feel stupid. I feel bad. I feel I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I feel slighted. And this isn't fair, right? So we start to really look at where those assumptions are coming from. All right, so let's move on to step 3. Now you get to challenge yourself. So that was a big step. You may not realize it, but when you make the correlation between what you think and where it came from, what you're doing is bringing it back up in your brain and telling your brain, wait a minute now, at the time you interpreted this one way, but there are many ways to interpret that situation. We chose to interpret it that way, and that's not serving me anymore. So I have to get clear about the fact that maybe, I jumped to conclusions too soon. Maybe I jumped to negative too soon. Maybe some outside influences impacted how I interpreted that, right? Because we are influenced by other people. Because the reality is, these were your expectations and your expectations weren't met. The thing is, folks, we really shouldn't have expectations for anything. When we set expectations and they're not met, that's where our sadness comes in. That's where our frustration comes in. If you really want to be happy in life, have zero expectations. How do I know that? Think about children. Children have no expectations in life. They get up and every day is wonderment. Look at this. Look at this. Wow, look at this. It isn't until we're older that we start to set expectations and we want things to go a certain way and we try to control the outcome, that when we don't get what we wanted, when we tried to control the outcome, that's where the sadness comes from. If we don't set expectations, we can't be disappointed. All right, that's the truth. And I would tell you on a subject on another day, we'll talk about the fact that most professionals have too many expectations. When you simplify your expectations, you can have some, but when you simplify your expectations and recognize nobody owes you anything and that, hey, if you get them, great. And if you don't, that's okay. You're going to be much happier in life. But at the very least, simplifying your expectations and recognizing what's happened here is that due to a bunch of influence, you set expectations and they weren't met and now you're upset. Can we see that? All right, let's take a look at that because I did an example for that as well. So you got to ask yourself some questions. You got to be really hard on yourself now, folks, because if you want to get somewhere with this, if you want to change and have a better mindset, you've got to ask yourself, am I over exaggerating? Am I using extreme words like I never get things my way? I always have to do this. It isn't fair, right? Really take a look at the verbiage your brain is putting on repeat every morning. Is it dramatic, right? Step out and look at your dramatic self. Would you want to hang out with that person? The person that's saying all those, angry, nasty things that's so disappointed, right? Where in the rule books did we get that we deserve these things? Again, managing your expectations. Be real with yourself, right? Are people making me feel this way? Am I all of a sudden realizing that some people and their commentary has a bit more of an influence over me than I thought? Have I truly exhausted every option? I've tried everything. Let me tell you how many times people say that to me. And then I go, did you do this, this, and this? And they go, well, no. Then you didn't try everything. And is this negative attitude helping me? Is it serving me? I mean, be honest. I honestly can't think of a time ever when a negative attitude serves us. All it does is make us feel weaker, right? Makes us feel more depressed and it slows us down. So really look at this. Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself these questions over and over again. Start to break down that negativity, okay? And that leads us to the 4th step. Now it comes to the rewrite. And this is really, really important, okay? So let's talk about rewriting each and every negative statement into a way that's more positive or at least more neutral. Let's take the negative subjectivity out of it. Your goal is that brain dump that you did, I need those all to be neutral statements. And if you can, make them positive. I'm not going to have you fake the positivity. If you're not feeling it yet, fine. I'll just take neutral statements. Neutral's better than negative. But if you can make them positive, even better. So let's take a look at my list. I rewrote the list a bit. So, hey, getting up early is good for my career. I'm getting up, I'm showing up to work on time. I'm building a reputation that says I'm reliable. That's a good thing. That's part of my personal brand that I want. Hey, my commute's long, but it's an opportunity. I can listen to podcasts. I can listen to music. I can listen to books on tape. I can make use of that time. My coworkers communicate differently than me. Okay, that's fine. I'm actually learning a valuable skill. Learning to work with people with different communication styles is very important, and that's going to serve me well in my career in the future. So it's a good thing that I have to work with people that aren't just like me. I'm so good at my job that it's easy. How incredible is that? It doesn't require a lot of brain power. That's fantastic, which means maybe I should start to look for some ways that I can stretch myself. Maybe I could go to my employer and seek out things that I could do that would build my skills because I'm able to do this in my sleep. I'm earning an income that can only go up. It's paying the bills at least, but I'm earning an income and it can only go up from here. And I can build a strategy to make that happen. And especially that's pretty good because if I'm overpaid, the last thing I want to do is see myself tumble backwards and never be able to make that pay again, right? So it can only go up. That's a good thing. Some people are dealing with the opposite. The hours I'm working are preparing me for something better. I'm going to be able to say that I worked all these hours and that as a result, I'm that much more of a professional. The more positive I am during the day, the more energy I'll have at night. So I really want to get rid of this negative self-talk because that's what's making me drag myself home at night and not be able to do anything. So the clearer I can get my brain and the more I focus on this, the happier I'm going to be at the end of the day. My boss is teaching me how to work with difficult people. Okay, that's good. Bosses are going to be difficult from time to time. Learning how to manage up, working with a boss, awesome skill set. And this company isn't where I see myself long-term, but it's paying the bills. Again, at least I have this job and I know and I realize what I don't want going forward. They've taught me what I don't want, and that's a good thing because now I know what to look for in interviews. Okay. So does that make sense to everybody? That's the exercise that you want to do. And this is something that we work with inside Work It Daily all the time. I think one of my favorite aspects, so for those of you that don't know, at Work It Daily, we are a career coaching platform. We decided to disrupt the career coaching industry. We didn't think it was right that only pro athletes and wealthy CEOs could have access to career coaching because no one ever taught you this stuff in school. There's a radical question. Where were you supposed to learn how to build your career? Where were you supposed to learn how to deal with this stuff? So we built Work It Daily so that people could have an app and an online resource where they could go in and 24/7, access career coaches and get that help. But the other benefit to it is the private community. We are a private network and everyone in there is there to up their game. So if you're surrounded by negative people, part of your problem and the challenge you're going to have in turning things around like this is that you don't have positive reinforcement. And that's one of my favorite aspects of Work It Daily, because when our members join, they come in to get rid of the negative self-talk. And if anyone puts negative self-talk out there, everyone rushes to their aid to help them rewrite the script, help them look at it differently, give them resources. It's such an incredible, powerful community. And then between that and access to the career coaches, people are able to flip the script really, really fast. So if you're somebody that needs more help with this, you definitely want to go over and check us out at Work It Daily. It's less than the cost of a gym membership. You're going to get immediate career coaching. You're going to get answers, and you're going to get help with this through the community members, which is by far one of my favorite things. But with that in mind, I kind of want to close out the session. Then we're going to take some specific questions, okay? First of all, you've got to fight NST daily. You have to. So whether you join us at Work It Daily, and I guarantee you will fight the NST every day if you come join us, you've got to surround yourself with positive people. You've got to fill your social media feed with positivity. You've got to do whatever it takes. If you want the muscle, if you want that positive brain power, it is something you acquire. It is a skill that you develop. You train your brain. No other way around it. There's not going to be any magic thing. People always say, well, if I won the lottery or if this happened or that happened, none of that will change the level of negativity you have in your brain. It is only through training, only through mental training that you will get there. And all the successful people they weren't naturally positive people. They developed that skill set. I can tell you that right now. So you've got to fight your NST daily one way or another. Get the support you need to make that happen. The other thing I'm going to tell you is, and I said it before, just remember this, what you look for, you will find. So if you keep looking for reasons to hate your job, if you keep looking, you'll just keep validating that negativity. And my concern for you is that gets harder and harder to beat. Once you get to a certain level, it's pretty hard to undo. And it's going to take something extremely dramatic in your life to change your mind, right? And I'm going to give you a quick story on that. So I had a member and she was very negative about her job, very negative. Everything was bad. It just so bad. She hated everything on that list. Where do you think I got that list? That and then some. Okay. It was awful. And eventually she went in one day and they called her in and they fired her. And she was shocked. She was shocked. She was mad. She was cursing. She had felt she had given their life to them and she hated the job and she had been looking for a new job and she couldn't find one. And now she was fired. So what happens? She can't find work. And the reason she can't find work is she's carrying this negativity to every interview. She's carrying her anger and frustration to every job interview. And if you don't think hiring managers can see it and feel it, they can. Well, slowly but surely, her unemployment runs out. She's tapping into her savings, and now things start to get dire. Now things are really moving backwards. And she decided to join us at Work It Daily. And she came in and she got really honest with herself. And she said, it took losing my job and thinking that I could easily go find another one and prove them wrong to recognize how badly the negativity was entrenched in my brain. I did not know. I did not know how bad off I was until something really traumatic happened that shook me to the core and showed me I needed to change my attitude. And that's what we did. She took ownership because you know what? You can't go back and change the past. So if you're out there and you're negative right now and you're realizing it, don't beat yourself up. You made choices. They have outcomes. Time to own the outcomes. Because if you can own the outcomes, you can change it. You can make things better. That's what she did. She took ownership. And we actually worked with her on her interview prep. So then when they went in and said, what happened? You know, why'd you leave your last job? Why'd you get fired? What's going on? Why is it taking you so long to find a job? We worked through some really honest answers that she could give sincerely that showed she had grown as a person and really proved that she had become more positive. And of course, she ended up landing a job. No surprise. Employers can feel it. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for that positive person. I've seen so many people quit a bad job and go to job interviews, and what they don't realize is they're there so excited to get that new job, but all they're doing is giving off this vibe about how much they hate their former employer. Do you think I want to hire somebody that physically, visibly hates a former employer? No, because you're probably going to end up blaming me later. You're probably going to hate my company. So you have got to get through this negativity, folks. You are not going to get hired to a new job until you have that positivity. And it starts with looking for the right things, looking for the good in your day, having gratitude, building that positivity, reworking your negative self-talk about this current job. Because once you rework that, and once you start to like this job again, and once you can get back to going to this job, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be a lot more interesting and a lot more attractive in job interviews with employers. I promise you. That's how it works. I've been doing this for 19 years. That's how it works. Okay. Awesome. All right. Good job, everyone. So question, did that make sense to everybody? Please in the chat, comment. Was this helpful? Can you see what I'm talking about here? Can you see why this is so important? I'm not just making this stuff up. This is science. This is brain science. This is how it works. And understanding neuro-linguistic programming and how to change it is fundamental in you getting stronger in your career. And that's what I'm doing for you. So now I'm going to give you 2 tips, all right? 2 little bonus tips. First of all, one of the ways to get stronger when it comes to fighting that negative self-talk is to build a nurturing morning routine. I have a morning routine. It's like a morning ritual, okay? And it's really important to me that I do this thing every day because I've recognized that when I do these things for myself, it's me taking care of myself. It's me making sure that my day starts off right. I get up early and I do all of these things and they're just for me. And that's how I'm able to feel like, okay, I can tackle my day. It's very, very important you do that. So in order to do that and to have this, what you have to do is think about your habits. So habit stacking, if you don't know about that, is key. And what it is you create a little list of tiny habits and you do them in order every day. And those habits suddenly become things you don't think about. And you could get, a habit tracking app. They're free. You can find them on your phone. That's what I did in the beginning until I didn't have to think about it anymore. But slowly but surely, this became my morning routine. I just got up and went right into the motion. And I feel so good when I head into work because already over the course of 2 hours before I've even gotten to the office, I've done stuff to make me stronger, to make me better, to make me feel good. I'm proud of myself because I've banged out this list of habits and done these things that are good for me. It's really important that you do the same. Okay. All right. So moving on, we're going to take some questions. All right, so that's what you need to do. I hope that it helped today. Now we're going to take some questions about negativity, dealing with specific situations and negativity. If you've got questions, post them and the team's going to share them with me. Before we get started, though, I need to tell you something really important and pretty exciting. Okay, so everyone listen up. It's really exciting. Tomorrow, we are going to do our first live call-in show. That is right, our very first live call-in show. In order to be eligible to be on the show, though, you do need to fill out our form. So we're going to be posting this form that you can fill out. You need to be available tomorrow. We're going to be live between 9:30 and 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can be available at that time. Fill out the form. You could be one of the lucky callers. You'll be online with me, and we're going to talk through your career situations. Tomorrow is going to be all career Q&A, all with live callers, which is really amazing. We're very excited about this. Can't wait to talk to you. So this is your chance. Fill out the form, and hopefully we can chat tomorrow, okay? Awesome. All right. So let's talk about this. Let's see. Oh, first of all, I got a shout out. Oh my gosh, Bill in Savannah. What's up, Bill in Savannah? Is it true that you have 35 students watching today? This is amazing. Hey, gang. So glad to have you here. Put some comments in the chat. Is this stuff making sense? Yes, hopefully. I hope so. Awesome. Great. Thanks so much, team. All right, my first question today is from Michael. Hey, Michael. Michael says, how do I move on if my last job was better? That's great. So you know what, Michael? First thing you want to do is take a look at that last job and everything you appreciate about it, right? You want to take a look at what's different between your last job and your new job. And what have you learned? How is that going to make you a better professional? Because you can like certain things of your job, but that's not going to sell when you go see a new company. If you say, well, I just want these benefits, I had this better situation. You need to tie back how those things that were better at your last job are better, make you a better professional, make you better at your job, help you create more value, help you be more effective. See, we have to remember that we're a business of one, and we want to work with an employer. We want a partner. None of you want to be an employee anymore. An employee's down here and employer's up here. You don't want to work for anyone. You don't want golden handcuffs. You want to work with a company. You want to be their partner. So if I'm a business of one, I have to think about what are the attributes I need to be so successful for my business partner that they are going to love me and they are going to want to always work with me and take good care of me. So thinking about what you had before, why do you need that in place now? Why would that make you more effective? Would it make you faster, better, be able to do more? Take it from that angle, because that's what you want to share as you go out and look for new opportunities. And you say, well, why do you want to leave your current job? You're not going to say, well, my last one was better. What you're going to say is, well, you know what? I was in a job previous to this where I had these things and I don't have them now. And I've come to learn that without them, I'm not as effective as I want to be. I'm not as successful. I'm not growing. I'm not learning. I'm not able to do as much. So I really want to go to a place that has these things so that I can be more impactful and certainly more satisfied, because when I'm more impactful, I feel happier. I'm more satisfied. I'm more successful. And I create more value for my business partner, for my employer. And that's what I want. Really important that you frame it that way. Because if you come to me in a job interview and they say, why do you want to leave? Well, you know, the benefits aren't as good. The hours aren't as good. The pay isn't as good. That's nothing but negativity. And I don't want to hire that. And I will tell you right now, they won't. So you've got to translate that loss into how having it back will make you a better professional. Okay? Awesome. All right. My next question is from Rachel. Let's see. Rachel says, in interviews, how do you answer, why do you want to leave your current position when you feel this way? All right. So it looks like I've been kind of tackling that, but let's expand on that a little bit more, folks. So if you do this exercise that I walked you through today, one of the things that you're going to realize is there was a point in time where you loved your job. Yeah, you had to have at least liked it. Okay. And so things have happened to change your perception around that. And what you want to look at and say is, probably there was some opportunity along the way that you thought you were going to have to grow as a professional, and you're realizing that's not the case. So if I'm an employer, what I want to hear from you is that somehow this current opportunity is falling short on your ability to grow and be worth more and offer more ROI, which is return on investment. Because again, you're thinking like a business of one. I always want to be more valuable, because the more valuable I am, the more someone will pay me. So that's the context that you need to use. And I've seen lots of people come in and just say, you know what, I took this job. I thought there was going to be opportunity to grow here. I thought I was going to be doing more work around this, which was going to build this skill set, which I'm really interested in because it will help me become better at this. That's not happening here. And I can see that it's not ever going to happen. So instead of staying there and having my skills go stale and not move my career and not grow my career in the direction I want to go in, I am being proactive and looking for a new opportunity. And that's why I'm so excited about your company, because I know I'm going to be able to take those skills to the next level here. See that? Now you're showing them the value prop of you leaving this one company and going to them. That's what you need to prove. Awesome question. Okay, next question is from Erica. Erica says, I had a boss I really didn't like. She actually left. I had an interview for a new job and made it to the second interview, and then they asked if they could call my current boss. I was thrown. How can I answer without them telling me I don't get along with her? Can I say no? Yeah, that's interesting. So a couple of things. If you are interviewing for a job right now and a company asks to talk to your current boss, you are well within your rights to say no, because that would tip them that you're looking for a job. Okay. In this situation, what happened to Erica is the person's no longer there, so there wouldn't be any kind of conflict of interest to contact them. I think it was a really smart question on the point of the employer, because they wanted to understand what kind of relationship you had with your boss. Don't lie. Don't try to fake it. What you would do, and this is something that we teach everyone inside Work It Daily, is how to use something called the experience, learn, and grow method for answering that question. That question is not a negative question. It's a powerful question. And believe it or not, Erica, and everyone else who's been in this situation, you should be excited to answer it. Yes, excited. And that's where I need to get you. So whenever someone says, hey, can I call your former boss? You can say, well, you can. I will give you the phone number, but I want to be proactive and help you understand that you might not get the best review from my boss, okay? Because you've got to go on the preemptive. You've got to go on the offensive. You've got to make them know that you're probably not going to get a glowing recommendation, so that when they don't get a glowing recommendation, they're not shocked. Okay. So you need to say that. You can absolutely call my former boss. I will put you in touch. But I think I need to be honest with you and say that, in my opinion, we didn't have the best working relationship. So I'm not sure you're going to get a glowing recommendation. Let me walk you through why. So the first part is experience. And you can say, my boss and I, although we worked okay together, had very different viewpoints on this or that or whatever. We had completely different mindsets. What you never do is say, I was right and they were wrong. You don't do that. You stay objective. Okay. We had different things. You just paint the facts. She looked at it this way. I looked at it this way. We didn't agree on how certain things should be executed. Eventually, she ended up leaving the company, so she's not there anymore. But we never really did resolve and get on the same page with that. And so as a result, our relationship was never as close as maybe some boss-employee relationships are, right? Because we weren't on the same page. So my guess is that when you call her, you might not get, a glowing recommendation. What I'd like to ask is this: if you contact her, and again, I'll totally give you the info, I'd also like you to talk to a peer or someone else in my organization that could at least paint a balanced perspective about me, because I wouldn't want you to have that as the only opinion. See that? See, just, hey, this is what happens. Here's how it goes. Yes, you can. Because if you say no, trust me, you're not getting the job in. You're not moving forward. So you've got to be able to say yes, but paint the accurate picture. And then ask, in your defense, can you give them an extra perspective? And then they can balance that out. All right? That's all you need to do. Great question, Erica. All right. Let's see. Erica, we've got another Erica here. Oh, wait, we're going to take Sarah. Hold on. They're moving these around for me. Sarah. Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay, my partner in crimes, helped me out with all these questions today. Sarah, how can we deal with manipulative managers who squeeze every energy you have and compete with us? Why hire us then? Okay. So I'm going to be honest with you, Sarah. You are interpreting your boss this way, right? I'm sure everyone's interpreting your boss this way. Pretty sure your boss doesn't see it that way. Just so you know. A lot of times bosses don't know that they're doing this. It's difficult to be a boss, and I'm not making any excuses for your boss whatsoever. But a lot of times bosses, they get put in that position because they're good at what they do. So they want to show that they're still good at what they do, and they don't realize that they're not really good managers. Does that make sense? So what you've got here is somebody who probably doesn't have the same style to management and leadership that you would and your peers would have. That's the reality. First thing you always want to do when you feel something like that is to put yourself in their shoes and recognize how differently they think than you. They're just not the same. They're not as aware as you. They don't have the same emotional intelligence as you. It's really important to replace your frustration with empathy. I'm not saying sorry, just empathy that this is somebody that doesn't get it. That's what you need to do. Secondly, This is an opportunity to sit down and talk to your boss about this. You really do need to find your voice and have a conversation with your boss about how it makes you feel, because keeping this inside is not going to help you whatsoever. So one of the things, if you were with us at Work It Daily, it was we would walk you through how you would have that conversation. And it's a private conversation. You don't bring anybody else into it. You don't go into the meeting and say, everybody feels this way. It's not what you do. You go in with a help me understand, and can you help me with this challenge? So instead of telling the boss what they're doing wrong and how they're upsetting you, you ask the boss how we can improve upon the situation, because you're feeling some things and you think you might be misinterpreting the boss's actions. You might be misinterpreting the situation, but this is how it's making you feel. And you were curious if there was something you could do different together to get a different outcome. All right. And that's sort of the overview of how you handle it. It would be a bit more detailed approach than that, but that's really what you need to do at this point, Erica. Step one is to have empathy and understand this person doesn't get it. Step two is for you to go in and have that conversation for yourself, not for anybody else, and to ask, not tell. And that's the secret sauce, learning how to ask for help as a way to get them to realize how they're acting and getting them to commit to different actions to help you, because bosses want to help you, right? So doing that, getting them there, is the sort of sneaky way of getting them to do what you need them to do. Okay. Still doesn't change after that. If your boss is like, no, I don't care, this is how I'm going to do it. Time to look for a new opportunity, because you have choices. You don't have to stay there. It's your choice, right? And if you can't get that situation rectified and you're not going to be able to live with it and live happily with it, with that positive mindset we talked about today, it's time to move on. Great question. All right. We got another question from a different Erica. Can you say you had a working relationship with your boss, not friends, but a working relationship? Yeah, I think you can, but I think you have to just be honest and say, my boss and I had a good working relationship. We weren't super close. We didn't see eye to eye on everything, but we definitely could work together. I think that's a fair assessment without throwing your boss under the bus, right? And that's the key, folks. Please remember this. In HR recruiting, here's what we're taught. When we go to school for this, we're taught there's three sides to every story: yours, theirs, and the truth, somewhere in the middle. Okay. So when you go with really negative statements, when you're trash talking or emotional, anything negative, or we're not buying it, not 100%, because we know there's two sides to this equation. And so now we're going to try to understand, okay, was it really the boss or was it you? So this is why it's very important, and why we teach everybody at Work It Daily, your responses need to be net neutral. They have to be factual. They have to be objective. You have to take all the subjectivity out of it. So I think working relationship is okay as long as there's some net neutral context. Okay, awesome. Okay, question from Jolanda. Hey, Jolanda, how can you work well with bosses if you know that you can do it better? That's a great question. Okay, so I love your confidence, and that's a good thing. When I see that situation, I recognize an opportunity to collaborate with a boss and elevate the game. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about with Erica. You never want to tell your boss there's a better way to do something. You want to get really strategic and ask some questions that can help your boss come to the conclusion or explore with you the idea of doing it a different way. And the reason I really encourage you to do this is that I've seen people walk in and say, you know what, I don't think you're doing this the right way. I think there's a better way to do this. I think we should do it this way. Only for the boss to then reveal some information that explains why it can't be done that way, and then you look bad. So a lot of times people are sitting there and they think, okay, my boss is a dope. My boss doesn't know how to do things right. But then when they start to understand, or maybe when it's their turn to have the job, there's all these factors that they didn't consider. There's all these elements that they didn't know about. And now all of a sudden you start to have a little respect for your boss because you realize it wasn't as easy as it looked. Okay. So you really need to be careful with that. That's why I would go in and say, help me understand. We've always done this process this way. We've always done like these 4 steps. Can you walk me through why we do those? And so as they're walking through, you might go, okay, question for you. When we get to this point, why don't we do it this way? Just curious. We probably have already explored why we don't, but I'm trying to understand, because I'm looking at it thinking it might be easier to do it this way, but I'm sure there's a reason why we don't. See how you say that? So now the boss either goes, oh no, I never thought of it. Maybe we should try it that way. Or they go, oh yeah, we tried that, and here's how it bombed. Okay. And you walk through the whole process that you're trying to improve, And again, you say, I'm just trying to understand why we might not try it this way. Wouldn't that work better? Or what do you think? By asking, you're not embarrassing your boss, you're not pointing blame, and you're not putting them on the spot. And more importantly, you're going to get the additional information that you might not have. And together at the end of it, you just might come up with a new resolution, a new way to do it without anybody losing face. And now together you've collaborated. That's my advice for anyone out there that's in your situation. You absolutely need to ask, don't tell. Okay. Awesome. All right. Question from Ebony. Ebony says, I'd like to be in a position to train or onboard employees in my field of counseling. I've only trained about 12 employees with great feedback. How do I stay positive and looking for that type of position? That's awesome. So the first thing, Ebony, is I'm going to assume that you have that opportunity where you are. One of the things that I'd be looking at is how can I speed that up where I am? You know, a lot of times people just assume they need to go someplace new to gain a skill set. But if you're already gaining that skill set, maybe at a little bit slower rate than you want to go and talk to your boss and say, I love this. This is something I want to do more of. How can I get involved and do more of it? Maybe I can take over a piece and onboard other people in other departments for this one piece. I can't maybe onboard them for their specific job, but maybe I could onboard them for, the general aspects of the business. How can I do more of this? So always explore where you could do that first in the company to try to speed it up. If that's not possible, then it's a question of building out your brand, Ebony. You want to build out your brand, your personal brand around this passion. There's obviously a reason that you think onboarding is important. In fact, if you didn't watch my personal branding session yesterday, everyone go follow the JT Talks Job hashtag. You'll be able to go back and see it. I talk about the 3 questions that your brand needs to answer. And one of those questions is, what's the problem bigger than yourself that you're focused on solving? What are you passionate about? Sounds to me, Ebony, that you really see value in onboarding people, that you have firsthand experience on the power of that and what that's about. That's your story. That's your brand. That's what you want to get out there and start networking and having conversations around. So you need to look at places where that would be the case. And by the way, that's usually HR in larger organizations where they have onboarding and training. And then you want to get involved. So you want to find the training associations that are in your area. Where do all the trainers meet? What are they a part of? Are they a part of the local HR association? You've got to start networking and connecting with people in the industry to learn more about where those jobs are while you're still building your skill sets at your current employer. And this is how you can eventually make that move, because that strong brand where you can say, this is my mission. This is why I believe in onboarding. This is why I want to be able to onboard every employee successfully. That's the kind of passion I want to hire in HR. That's the kind of person I want in doing training and development, certainly doing the onboarding, right? So I say 2-pronged here. 1, try to do more of it where you are. 2, start to build your brand around them. Okay, awesome. Okay, next question is from Sandra. Sandra says, should you ask to speak with your boss when you already know she is unreasonably against you, or should you just move on? Yeah, you need to speak with your boss, Sandra. So, okay, there's a statement there, unreasonably against you. So understand that's an opinion, and now your boss has a different opinion. So the two of you are not on the same page, okay? And that's causing you frustration, and I'm pretty sure your boss frustration. So I do think it makes sense to sit down. I would grab a meeting with your boss and say, I get the impression that you're not a fan of my work, that you're not a fan of me. And I don't want that. I really would like to have a good working relationship with you. So I was hoping we could maybe talk about what we could do. Now, if your manager says, I don't know what you're talking about, Sandra, you need to be ready with examples. And so in advance of this meeting, I would come up with 3 examples of instances where you felt or interpreted that your boss wasn't supportive of you and didn't like you. Okay. And you need to be very specific and very factual. And the reason for that is you can say, if they say, I don't know what you're talking about, you can say, well, remember when this happened and you said this or you did this? That made me feel like you don't like me or you weren't happy with me. Okay. Give the facts and give the manager the opportunity to respond. Because sometimes what you're going to find out is just that that's how they are and they really didn't mean any disrespect. And they're not that they didn't like you. In fact, a really great tool for you, if you go over to our resources section, folks, workitdaily/resources, workitdaily/resources. We have a whole bunch of free resources over there. One that I would encourage you go take is our personality test, our communication style test. And you would look at what style you are and then what style your boss is. Lots of times when I hear something like this, it's not that either style is wrong or either person is bad. It's that you have polar opposite styles. So you're interpreting them wrong and you're misinterpreting them and you're taking it personally. But that's what you want to do. You want to go in and say, I've done my homework and I realize we're different in personality and I feel like you don't like me. And I have a couple of examples of times when it made me feel that way. And I'm wondering if we can work together because I want a strong working relationship with you. I want to get to a place where, you're proud of me, you're happy, and you want to advocate for me. And so I want to know what I need to do to make that happen. Yes, you need to have that conversation. And using the communication style as a foundation to say, I know we have different styles, and let me give you a couple examples of how it made me feel. And I really want to work with you to be better, to be stronger. That's an important conversation to have with your boss. Absolutely. Okay. Lori says, how do you handle bullying? Okay. So this is probably a session, and I think we should put it on the books and talk about bullying in depth. But, the basic thing, and this is going to be hard to hear, Lori, is that you need to go through a checklist to confirm that it is in fact bullying. As an HR professional, I can tell you that I've dealt with many cases of people accusing of bullying. And I would say 60% of the time, it was in fact a bullying situation. 40% of the time, it was somebody being overly sensitive and misinterpreting the situation. And now a lot of people are going to jump in right now and say, JT, if a person feels that way, then they should feel that way. And that's bullying. Okay. Not in every case, folks. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Not in every case. I have seen situations where people have taken things severely out of context and called it bullying when it's not. Okay. And that's the problem, right? And that's why in HR, we're taught to deeply investigate bullying situations. So the truth is we first want to go through a checklist and make sure it is in fact bullying and not just a case of differing personalities and sensitivity. Okay. That's the first thing. Now let's assume it is a case of bullying. When you have bullying, the first thing you have to do legally is set boundaries. So for it to even become a case, you would have to set boundaries, which is sit down with the bully with someone else present. It's never one-on-one. It's you and someone else. You sit with the bully and say, I'm feeling bullied by you. When you do these things, and again, similar to the last question, you map out and you act this way, that is bullying to me. And I want to set some boundaries. I don't want you to do these things to me anymore. If you do, then that is going to be seen as bullying. Okay. So you want to do that so that that person is essentially put on notice that these are in fact bullying tactics. Somebody else was present to see how they react to it. Okay. So if they react and say, okay, I understand boundaries, or I don't agree with you, right? You've got a third party witness. After that, if the bullying continues, right, you're documenting all the bullying cases. So you're documenting when it happened, what's happening. And then you're able to go to HR and say, look, we've discussed this. I set boundaries with this person. So-and-so is present. This person is not respecting my wishes. These are the bullying actions that are continuing. I really need them to stop. What can we do? Okay. And that's when they're able to really dive in and get involved with you in a bullying situation. Okay. So bullying is a very complex problem. It's very gray. It's not black and white. And so you have to have a well-trained HR person to know how to handle it. If you don't have an HR person, if you're in a situation, it's a smaller company, then you have to take bullying into your own hands by, again, setting those boundaries with a third party present and documenting the situation and bringing it to your boss's attention. And then after that, if you're not getting any traction, so if they're saying, we're not going to do anything about this, you want to move on. You don't want to stay in that situation. It's not good for you to stay in a toxic environment. If this person truly isn't going to change and you're not okay with how they are acting with you, you want to move on. You want to move on because the company has now made it clear to you that they're not going to change anything. So if the company isn't going to change anything, there is nothing left you can do. You want to look for a new job. It's that simple. And I know that's hard to hear, folks, and people say it's not fair. I get it, but you know what? Life isn't fair, and we can't expect, we have expectations. It doesn't mean our expectations are going to be met, but we do have choices, and we can choose to move on, and we can choose to go find a better place after we've made the attempts to try to make things better. Okay. So yeah, it's bullying is a really complex subject. I hope I helped, Lori. Again, I have no doubt you probably have dealt with bullying, and that would be my advice, but it's really important to make the right choice for you, what you need. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. So Uchi, I hope I'm saying that right. How do you learn to work well with a boss who is not comfortable whenever you disagree with his views? Do you just sit and agree with all he says? No, I don't think so. I think that when you have a boss who is uncomfortable when you disagree with them, it's probably because they feel threatened by alternative views. They don't want to look silly or stupid. So they've probably had an experience where people have embarrassed them before. And when you disagree with them, the way you're disagreeing with them is making them uncomfortable. So my guess is the approach that you're taking when you disagree with your boss is what they have more issue with. So my advice would be to grab, coffee or lunch with your boss and say, hey, I really want to have a great relationship with you. And there are times where I don't necessarily see things the same way or agree, but I want to make sure that I'm presenting that in a way that's good for you. What's the best way for me to share when I have a different opinion? What you might find out is your boss doesn't want you to call them out in public. Maybe your boss needs time to think about what you're asking. Maybe your boss wants you to put it in an email or put it in writing or just pull them aside and talk to them about it one-on-one. You don't know. But if the problem is your boss isn't reacting well to you disagreeing with them, then you need to sit down and talk to them. How can I present alternative points of view in a way that you feel okay with? Because I'm getting the vibe that you don't feel okay. So how can I do that differently? Right? That's what you need to do. Awesome. All right. So this is the last question on the topic for now. Questions, comments, feedback. Was this helpful? Can you tell me, folks? I want to hear about it in the comments below. Did you like today's session? What was the number one thing you got out of it that you're going to apply today? Remember, if you're following the hashtag JT Talks Jobs, you'll be able to watch the recording. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, you will be able to get instant notification when we go live, as well as our YouTube channel over at Work It Daily. So lots of places to be able to know about this. And we talk about upcoming topics in our feed. We promote that as well. So be sure to stay tuned. Tomorrow is a big day. One more last promo. Anybody that wants to be on live with me, you can fill out the form that we've got in the link there and you can apply. I'm going to be taking live callers tomorrow. My first time ever. Oh, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? I'm going to take live callers tomorrow for the first time, answer your questions in real time. I am really looking forward to it. So please send in your forms. I want to talk to you. Okay. Awesome, everyone. Hey, listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Remember, if you want to win, you've got to work it daily. And the fact that you showed up here today already puts you ahead of all the competition. So good for you. You should celebrate that. You should feel good about yourself. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Okay. All right. Ciao, everyone.